You know that specific kind of silence, the one that hits you at like 3:0 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Oh, I do.
You're sitting there, maybe in a meeting, maybe just staring at a spreadsheet for the 1,000th time, and this little voice in your head just asks, "Is this it?"
That's the mid-career plateau. And it's visceral. It's not just boredom. It's an almost physical sensation.
It is. It's that nagging feeling that you're, I don't know, under-leveraged?
Right.
Or worse?
A fear.
The fear that your most innovative, high-energy years are already in the rearview mirror, and now you're just managing the decline.
And you look around, and the modern workplace kind of reinforces it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It fetishizes those 30 under 30 lists.
Absolutely.
So if you're 45 and you haven't, exited a unicorn startup, you feel like you've completely missed the boat.
Which is exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We're looking at a source that I think is going to be a lifeline for so many people. It's a roadmap called Reinvent at 40 by Cabonegro.
And to be clear, this isn't just a rah-rah motivational speech. I mean, there's motivation in there, sure. But what drew me in is that it's a tactical manual.
Yes.
It's a 10-slide manifesto that's basically a bridge from stuck to launched.
Right. So our mission today is to walk through this 10-slide deck, slide by slide. We are going to dismantle that idea that age is an anchor and really prove, using Cabonegro's logic, that it's your biggest asset.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be playing the role of the encouraging strategist, focusing on the mindset, the psychological shifts, because that's where the war is won, I think.
And I'll be the practical tactician.
Mm-hmm.
I want to dig into the income models, the tech, the execution details.
Mm-hmm.
Because, inspiration is great, but systems pay the mortgage.
Okay, let's do it. Slide 1. Cabonegro calls this the Midlife Advantage. And right out of the gate, it's picking a fight with that huge cultural myth.
That innovation belongs to the young.
Exactly, the Mark Zuckerberg myth.
The hoodie in the dorm room.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But the source argues that 40 isn't the finish line. It's a powerful launch pad.
I love that phrase, a launch pad. It implies you've been fueling up this whole time. But, okay, let's pressure test that. Why is 40 a launch pad and not just, older?
It's about data.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about the last 20 years of your career. You've been gathering data points. A 20-year-old has energy, yes, but they are operating on theory. You're operating on a database of 2 decades of resilience, of crisis management, of pattern recognition. You've seen the cycles.
That's such a crucial distinction. When you're 20, you're still trying to figure out who you are.
Right.
You're trying on different work styles, seeing what fits. By 40, the source argues that friction is gone. You know who you are.
Exactly. The midlife advantage is really efficiency. You stop wasting time on things you aren't good at. And that self-knowledge, it removes the drag on your velocity. You're not guessing anymore.
You're executing.
You're executing based on evidence with surgical precision.
Okay, so we're on this launch pad. We've got the data, the precision. But then we hit slide 2, and we have to deal with the psychological baggage. This one is called Breaking the Invisible Ceiling.
This is the slide that hurts a little to read because it's so accurate. It lists those specific pain points, like feeling invisible in a changing market.
Invisible, that's the word that sticks with me. I've heard that from so many women. They feel like they're in the room, but the conversation is just happening over their heads.
But Cabonegro frames these as mindset blocks, not as objective reality. And that is the critical pivot.
So what's the question we should be asking?
The source poses a hard one. Is the market rejecting you, or have you stopped presenting your value?
Wow.
The ceiling is invisible because you're the one protecting it. It says your next chapter is, and I quote, entirely within your control.
It's about agency then. If you believe you're a dinosaur, you'll act like a dinosaur.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Precisely. The invisible ceiling breaks the second you decide to stop waiting for permission to be relevant.
Which flows perfectly into slide 3. Reframe your wisdom. This is where we stop playing defense and start playing offense.
Yes, the foundation and mindset reset. And this is where we get analytical. How do you actually do this?
Right.
The mechanism is reframing your experience as a distinct competitive advantage, not baggage, an advantage.
I like the accounting metaphor the source uses here. It says, to stop looking at the liability column, lost youth, gray hair, and start looking at the asset column.
And what's in that asset column? Emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
A 20-year network of contacts.
It's a huge asset.
The ability to handle a crisis without freaking out. That is a premium asset a 25-year-old just hasn't acquired yet. They haven't lived through enough crises.
The source also mentions defining your why. That when you get total clarity on your why, the fear just evaporates. Why is that?
Because you stop competing on the wrong metrics. If your why is, say, I want to help small businesses scale using my logistic experience,
Yeah.
you're not competing with a Gen Z TikTok marketer.
You're playing a totally different game.
A different game. A game of wisdom. Your skill set, strategy, leadership, empathy, it's timeless. You're not outdated.
That's empowering. Okay, so we've reset the mindset. We know we have value, but now what do we do? This brings us to the strategy section, slide 4, the roadmap to freedom.
And this is where the tactician in me gets excited because, let's be honest, reinvention usually just looks like flailing around.
Oh, totally. Throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks.
And nothing sticks but the mess. But Cabonegro presents this as a structured 7-module roadmap. It moves you linearly from searching to launched.
That structure is so comforting. It treats your career transition like a project to be managed, not a wish to be made.
It removes the decision fatigue. You don't wake up wondering what to do. You just look at the next module.
Yeah.
It turns an existential crisis into a checklist.
Love a good checklist. So part of that project is figuring out what the project is. Slide 5 is choosing your path.
The filter phase. This is critical. The source is the criteria must match your specific personality and lifestyle. This is not one size fits all.
Right. If you hate selling, don't start a business that requires cold calling 50 people a day.
Exactly. So the source breaks it down into a few options, online versus offline work. But the split I find most interesting is skills-based versus time-based projects.
Okay, let's unpack that. Time-based is what most of us know, right?
Yes. Consulting, coaching, freelancing. You do an hour of work, you get paid for an hour. It's low risk, easy to start, but
It doesn't scale.
it's hard to scale. There are only so many hours in a day. You effectively just own a job.
So what's skills-based?
That's where you package your skill into a product, a course, a template, a workshop. You build it once, it sells while you sleep.
Ah.
The source argues that for the reinvented 40 crowd, you want a mix. Maybe you start time-based for cash flow, but you want to move towards skills-based to get your life back.
Because the ultimate goal here is, and I love this, lowest stress and the highest fulfillment.
Which is a very different goal than we had in our 20s, isn't it?
Completely.
Back then it was highest salary, highest growth, even if you burn out. At 40, we are done with burnout. We want time wealth just as much as financial wealth.
So true. Okay, so say we pick a path. We're in consult. Slide 6 addresses that immediate next fear, unlocking your transferable skills.
The imposter syndrome slide. This is where you hear, but I've been an accountant for 20 years. I can't be a strategic advisor.
That feeling that you have to start from scratch, that you're a beginner at the bottom of the mountain all over again.
But the source introduces this concept of the unfair advantage. It argues you are never starting from scratch.
Okay, give me an example. What's a boring corporate skill that becomes an unfair advantage?
Okay, think about stakeholder management.
Right. Just means keeping people from yelling at each other.
In corporate, yes. But if you launch your own business, that skill is now client relationship management. It's high levels negotiation. You know how to read a room, how to de-escalate an angry client. You can't learn that in a boot camp.
That's a fantastic reframe. So the strategy isn't to learn everything new.
No, it's to identify what you already have that has value in a new context. And this is key to narrow it down. The source says to identify one focus skill.
Just one. That sounds a little risky.
It's actually riskier to be broad, to be the generalist consultant who does marketing, ops, and HR.
Right. Be the operations fixer.
Be the operations fixer. The strategy is to generate small wins. You become undeniable at one thing. And honestly, it's way easier to sell, I fixed this one specific problem.
So freeing. Okay, let's move into the execution phase. This is where the rubber meets the road. Slide 7, the modern digital setup.
And for some, this is where the palms start sweating. Technology, the tech stack.
The fear that you're going to break the internet if you click the wrong button. But the source promises to make it simple.
It does. And I appreciate that it frames it as literacy, not mastery. You don't need to learn to code. You just need to know what tool handles payments, what sends your emails.
You get the right tool, not build the tool.
Exactly. But there's another angle here I found really interesting. It's not just the software, it's the environment.
The wellness aspect.
Which is so often overlooked. The source talks about designing a work-from-home setup that prioritizes healthy boundaries.
That is so vital. You don't want to just recreate the stress of your corporate job in your living room.
You'll fail. If your office is the kitchen table and you're checking emails at midnight, you will fail. The source explicitly says we need to make sure reinvention doesn't end in burnout.
Sustainability is key. Which brings us to the fuel for this whole engine, money. Slide 8. Sustainable income models.
The bottom line, the economics of the second act.
And I appreciate the reality check here. The source says this is not a get-rich-quick scheme.
No, this is about crafting a real value proposition. It lists the models: one-time, recurring, active, and semi-passive.
Let's break those down because the mix seems to be the secret sauce.
Sure. Active is trading time for money, great for immediate cash flow. One-time is a project fee. But the gold standard the source points to is recurring and semi-passive.
Recurring being like a retainer.
Right. A monthly fee for ongoing support. It provides stability, mental peace, and semi-passive is selling those assets, the templates, the guides.
A portfolio approach.
Exactly. And it covers realistic earning expectations. It warns against underpricing yourself out of insecurity, which is a huge issue.
Oh, huge.
A lot of women do it forgetting they have 20 years of expertise. It's about building a business, not a low-paying job for yourself.
Okay, we have the mindset, strategy, tech, financial model. We are ready. Slide 9, your launch checklist.
Pure execution. You can plan forever, but eventually you have to ship.
And the roadmap provides what, a launch week plan?
A launch week plan and a pre-launch checklist.
A checklist keeps the panic at bay. I love that.
It's essential. But what's interesting is the focus on the workflow during the launch, how to handle inquiries, how to convert leads.
Oh, the momentum piece. That's huge. What about the Tuesday after launch day when the excitement fades and your inbox is empty?
That's what it addresses. Ensuring the business grows long after your first week. It's about setting up systems so handling a lead doesn't feel like a crisis every single time.
You're professional from day one.
Which conveys confidence. And confidence sells.
So we've walked the whole journey, from feeling stuck to having a launch plan. Which brings us to the final slide, slide 10, the call to action.
This is the culmination. The source is, of course, the full resource. Reinvent at 40, a clear roadmap to skills, hustles, and sustainable income by Cabonegro.
And it's worth noting the download includes those 7-module workbooks we mentioned, so you're not just reading, you're doing the work.
Right. It's the difference between reading a diet book and actually meal planning. It forces you to sit down and write, my focus skill is X. It forces commitment.
I want to close this with the sentiment from the source, though, because it really hit me hard. It says, you've spent the last 2 decades helping others build their dreams. Now it is time to build yours.
That is a powerful framing. It hits you right in the gut.
It does. Stop searching and start building. At 40, that feels revolutionary. We're so used to being the support staff.
For the corporation, for the family.
To pivot and say, no, I'm the builder now. I'm the architect. It's profound.
And it connects back to everything. The invisible ceiling breaks when you build your own structure. The midlife advantage is realized when you apply your resilience to your own project.
Exactly. So to recap what we've learned from this roadmap, that invisible ceiling is absolutely breakable. It's a ghost story we tell ourselves.
And the midlife advantage, that resilience, that insight, it's real currency in the modern market. You have the assets. You just need the deployment strategy.
Absolutely. It's about shifting from being a passenger to being the driver. So here's the question we want to leave you with.
If you truly believed, 100%, that your age was your greatest competitive advantage, not a liability, what is the one focus skill you would launch today?
Think about that. What's the one thing you're undeniably good at? Maybe it's time to bet on it. Thanks for diving in with us.
Until next time.